All right, it says that we are live, fellas. Okay. Hello, and welcome to the MMA Live Chat Show. I'm Rich Davie, and it's Friday, October 3rd, 2014. On today's show, we're going to be doing things a little bit differently since there are two UFC events tomorrow night. We'll be discussing the UFC Fight Night 53 Nelson vs. Story event and the UFC Fight Night 54 Macdonald vs. Saffiedine event. On today's show, we have yours truly, Eddie Law, and Fred Kirby. Thanks for joining me on the show to discuss a few of the fights happening tomorrow night. Guys, go ahead and say hello to anybody that might be listening.
What's happening, Rich? What's happening, Eddie? Nice to be back with y'all.
What's up, fellas?
Okay, let's go ahead and get started here. We really didn't prepare a whole lot for this show here. A couple of the guys just wanted to talk about a few of the fights that are happening tomorrow night, so we're not really doing any predictions or anything like that like we normally do, but let's go ahead and jump into things here. UFC Fight Night 53, Nelson versus Story. The first one we're going to talk about is Gunnar Nelson versus Rick Story. Fred, I know you wanted to talk about this event, so go ahead. You go ahead and lead off.
Yeah, man. It's kind of a weak card, all in all, I guess. Definitely a lot of local European talent on the card. Some decent prospects, but I think this is a really important fight at 170. Rick Story is a bit of a journeyman at this point, but Gunnar Nelson is super interesting, man. I think he's a major talent, and this is another one of those fights where it's like a big litmus test for Gunnar to see exactly how good he is. He's faced some decent competition. Zach Cummings was, I think, a bit underrated, so that was a tough fight for him, but not necessarily going to give him the name recognition he needs to really kind of get to that next level, and Rick Story is the perfect type of guy for that, man. Gunnar Nelson has a very interesting striking style. He's got that kind of Conor McGregor, Lyoto Machida type of karate vibe going where he keeps his hands real low and throws lots of kicks and shit like that. And he's a fucking beast on the ground. Phenomenal control, really good submissions and shit. So I'm super stoked for this fight, mostly just to see how good Gunnar Nelson is.
Eddie?
Well, as we know, Gunnar Nelson is the real deal. 13-0. All finishes except for one fight, and that was against Jorge Santiago, and kind of a weird performance by Gunnar. But I mean, the guy is a scary, scary machine on the ground. He will sub your ass if you even give a little bit of leeway on the jits game. But Rick Story is a very durable guy. I mean, 17 wins, 9 decisions, 4-4 in the TKOs and submissions, and the only way you beat him is by decision. So you kind of roll the dice with Rick Story. Now, if there's a guy to finish him, it's gonna be Gunnar Nelson. Gunnar Nelson is just a scary, scary talent coming out of a great fight camp out of SBG Ireland, and or SP. I don't know if it's SPG or SBG. I'm not sure, but he's a scary, scary dude. And I think Gunnar Nelson is gonna make a statement in this fight, and he's gonna put his foot down on basically saying, "Hey, I'm here, and I think I deserve consideration to be, a possible contender for the title." Now, Rick Story, on the other hand, has some pretty notable wins, including Thiago Alves and Johnny Hendricks, both wins by decision. So, I mean, you really never know what you're gonna get with Rick Story. The one thing I know when I hear Rick Story is I want to watch this fight because the guy's gonna put it all on the line.
Yeah, I know we said we weren't really going to do predictions, but I know that both of you guys probably want to give your predictions. So, Fred, how do you see this one going, and who do you think is going to win this, and how are they going to finish it?
Yeah, man, I'm totally on the Gunnar Nelson train. I think that Rick Story is super tough. It'll be really interesting to see how Rick Story approaches this fight. I kind of assume that he's going to want to clinch up early and press Gunnar against the fence and hold him there, kind of rough him up in dirty boxing. But I think that Gunnar Nelson is just too good. I think his grappling's too strong. And his wrestling is actually pretty vicious, man. I think that Rick Story's a hell of a fighter. He's a tough guy, but I'm going to say that Gunnar Nelson eventually wears him down and gets a third-round submission.
Okay. Eddie?
Oh man, if we know something about Gunnar Nelson on the ground, he likes chokes and arm bars. So I'm gonna go with Gunnar Nelson, second round rear naked choke.
Yeah, I really didn't do my whole thing that I usually do here, but Gunnar Nelson's 13 wins, no losses, 1 draw. Rick Story is 17 wins, 8 losses. Nelson is the number 14 welterweight, and Rick Story is the number 18 welterweight. Oddsmakers have Gunnar Nelson as the favorite, as a, not a big favorite, but a decent favorite. And fans are overwhelmingly picking Gunnar Nelson to win this one. I'm also going to go with Gunnar Nelson by submission in, I'm going to say, 2. Any other comments on that one?
Yeah, I would actually like to add right quick before I go, or before we move on to the next fight. I think that momentum is a big deal too, man. And Gunnar trains with Conor McGregor, and I think that they feed a lot off of each other. I think Gunnar gets a lot of striking tips from Conor and is able to help Conor with his grappling. And Conor's on such a huge roll. That whole gym is like in a good vibe right now. I just also think that Gunnar is going to have a lot of momentum. They're in Sweden, which isn't necessarily his home turf, but it's home turf enough to where the crowd's going to be on his side, and momentum's going to definitely be in Gunnar Nelson's favor.
Yeah, I think I don't know. It's gonna be the Gunnar Nelson show unless Rick Story shows something, shows us otherwise. But the one thing I will say is Rick Story is a good name, good guy to fight, but he's not exactly what's he rank 18th, I think you said. So he's not exactly a top 10 guy. After this fight, I need to see Gunnar Nelson against the top 10 welterweight to see how legit he really is. Right now, anyone that comes out of Ireland and out of anyone related in any way, shape, or form with Conor McGregor is going to be a hot name. So we gotta wait and see what he does in the cage, obviously. But I think this is going to be the start of Gunnar Nelson, staking his claim to a title shot.
Yeah, I got a storm rolling in here, guys. I hope I don't get disconnected. If I do, just keep on going, and I'll try to get back as soon as possible. I got rain coming down on me here. Right. Gunnar Nelson, man, he turned out to be, the hopes for him coming into the UFC was that he was going to be a big deal, but he got hurt early on there. But, I think he's legit, too, and I think, he's going to do just fine in this fight here, as Eddie was saying there. And then after that, he needs to get a top 10 guy there to prove his mettle. All right, do you want to move on to the next one, fellas?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right, Fred wanted to speak about this fight as well. Max Holloway versus Akira Corassani. Max Holloway has 10 wins, 3 losses. Corassani has 12 wins, 4 losses. Holloway is ranked in number 19 featherweight, and Corassani is ranked number 30. Max Holloway is a huge favorite by odds makers, and we're looking at the fans here, and the fans also have him as a huge favorite. Fred, how do you see this one going, and who do you think wins this one, and how are they going to do it?
I think it was you, Eddie, saying that the Swedes might go 4-0 on this card. Mm-hmm. And, this is the one where I think they're going to break the streak. And I think Max Holloway seems to has really found himself since the Conor McGregor fight, ironically. He's looked really good. He looked good in that fight, actually, in hindsight. But I think Max Holloway is just really putting his game together. He's a super technical striker. He never gets tired. He's always throwing in volume. He throws nice, crisp, tight combinations. And Akira Corassani is a bit underrated. I think that he's a tough guy, and he's Swedish, so he's on his home turf. And I almost feel a little bad for him here, man. I kind of wish he would have got a better opponent or a better matchup. I think that Max Holloway's a terrible matchup for him, and I don't think that Max Holloway will finish him. Corassani's tough, but I think that Max Holloway's going to win a clearly dominant decision and fuck Akira Corassani up pretty well in the process. So you think he's going to beat on him for 3 rounds then? I do. Yeah, that's precisely what I think is going to happen.
I think a lot of fans agree with you, but I don't think Eddie does. Eddie, what do you think's happening here?
Oh man, it's the home turf, man. I'm a big fan of home field, home turf, home whatever the hell you want to call it. It's just the feel of being around the people that are supporting you. I mean, I don't know if you guys watched the weigh-ins or not, but every Swede got just an eruption of applause and whatnot. So I'm completely writing off the home turf. Akira's got knocked out 4 times. And Holloway, while not a knockout artist, you know, he does have I think a couple in his record. So, you know, fuck. I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm kind of thinking about my pick, but I'm gonna stay with the Swedes. I'm gonna say Akira grinds out, toughs it out. You know, doesn't want to be finished in front of his home crowd. I think he toughs out a decision, like a split one, like a super close. You know, might even be controversial. You never know, but I think Akira wins it by decision.
Yeah, the fans that are picking Corassani agree with you on that. The fans are looking at Akira Corassani to win by decision, if anything. Yeah, I kind of agree with Fred on this one here, except I'm going to take it a step further, and I think, yeah, he does beat on him, but I think he's actually going to get a TKO, probably in 2. So that's my prediction.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. I was actually going to say the one time I try to be safe on my pick, Holloway will probably come out and surprisingly get the finish. I do kind of wonder how they'll match up grappling-wise, though. I wonder how Corassani, if Corassani's getting lit up on the feet, I wonder if he's got the wrestling to take Holloway down, or what Holloway's defensive grappling will be like. That could make this fight. That could be the X factor. I don't think that Corassani's got the grappling to necessarily do it, but you never know.
Yeah, he probably doesn't have the wrestling, but he is a Renzo Gracie guy. Both guys are Gracie guys, but I don't know. I'm biased when it comes to Renzo, but I do think I don't know. I think Corassani's gonna be able to hold his own on the ground. Hopefully, he doesn't let the hometown jitters. But I think my home fans are here. Is going to push into that win. But again, even while I was talking to you guys, my head's going like, that's a stupid pick, but I'm going to stick with it anyway.
Riding with the Swedes.
Yeah, I'm riding with the Swedes, man.
Okay. All right, I know there was one more fight that Fred wanted to talk about. By the way, this is on Fight Pass, this event here, so it's not going to be broadcast on TV. I believe the whole card is a Fight Pass card, is it not?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, and then what was that other fight you wanted to speak about, Fred?
Nicholas Backstrom and Mike Wilkinson.
Okay. Give us your opinion on that one.
Basically, the big thing with this fight is just Nicholas Backstrom. I think he's 8-0. He trains at the same gym as Alexander Gustafsson. He looked really good against Tom Njokuani in his last fight. He actually looked fucking crazy. He landed a really fucking sick kind of choke on him. He's got really slick, good grappling, and he's actually kind of surprisingly, awkwardly effective on his feet, too, man. He throws a lot of fucking knees and kicks, and he's kind of lanky for the division. He's tough, man. He's definitely somebody that's interesting that's coming up out of Sweden, Gustafsson. I do think that this is kind of a gimme fight for him and a hometown show-off. Mike Wilkinson's a good kid, but I think he's just going to get stomped here. He's he's a grappler by nature, but I think that Backstrom's a better grappler, and I think that he's a better striker. I think he's a better all-around fighter, and this is a showcase fight for him. It should be fun to watch at the very least.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of people agree with you on that assessment there. Eddie, what do you think?
Well, if there's anybody else that has, more, if anyone has almost as much hype as Gunnar Nelson, it's going to be Nicholas Backstrom. This, just like Fred said, he trains with Alexander Gustafsson out of that All-Star Training Center. And the thing with him is I agree with this might be a gimme fight because Wilkinson hasn't fought since June of last year when he lost at I forgot which event. It was a UFC fight, that's all I know, but I think it was UFC on Field 10 against Ronnie Mariano Becerra, and he lost by triangle choke. So hasn't fought more than a year. The cage rush is going to be there against a guy with a really good amount of momentum at home. Basically, pile up as much crap against Wilkinson as you can because this fight's already over.
Yeah. So how do you think it finishes?
Second round TKO.
Okay. Yeah, looking at this one here, Backstrom is 8-0. and Wilkinson is 8-1. Number 27, ranked featherweight for Backstrom, and Wilkinson is ranked number 168. So yeah, that kind of looks like it's a give me fight there. And odds makers have Backstrom as a huge favorite. He's minus 700. So yeah, it's looking like it may be a give me fight. Another odd situation here where, you know, it seems like each fight that we're talking about, the odds are higher and higher for one guy, and there seem like lopsided, you know, fights here that, you know, not only odds makers think are going to work out, you know, in favor of one guy heavily, but also the fans do as well. Most of the fans also think that this is an easy fight for Backstrom as well. So I, too, am going to be going with Backstrom in this one here. I'm going to pick him by submission in 2.
Yeah, I don't think I gave my pick actual pick. I'm gonna say first round submission. Actual pick. So yeah.
Okay. Any other comments on that one?
Nope.
Eddie?
No, I got nothing, man. I mean, it should be a show up. And I mean, giving Wilkinson a whole first round to survive is probably being generous, but I'd like to think that that guy has some heart. So I think he'll last, and then Backstrom will end his night early and, you know, go have a few beers, sleep with a couple chicks, whatever he's going to do.
All right.
I want to say on a quick side note before we move from this card. I know a lot of people are kind of bitching about these Fight Pass cards, kind of the international ones that are focused on international markets and international talent. I, for one, fucking love it. I think these cards are going to be necessary in the future. And whereas there's not a lot of names on them, these guys need to have fights, and you need to weed them out. There's a lot of gimme fights for hometown guys, but this is the fun type of shit that builds a market in an international, you know, scene like that, man. These are the type of cards that's going to get people in Sweden wanting to go train and do shit. So, you know, just for the record, I think these fucking cards get a lot of unwarranted hate, man. These type of cards got to happen. Got a real decent fight at the top of the card with a real big European prospect. I love this shit.
Yeah, you know, I can understand that argument, but I think why a lot of people bitch about them is because these international fights, you know, they happen, you know, at times of the day and night where most people on this side of the pond aren't going to be able to watch them, you know. And again, a lot of people don't have Fight Pass. Not every, you know, MMA fan does have Fight Pass. Again, most of the people who have Fight Pass are going to be the hardcore guys, and if you're trying to introduce up-and-coming talent to the new people to MMA, I don't think this is the right way to go.
But that's the point, though, kind of. These shows aren't for the American audience, you know. Eddie said it before, too. This is a good fight for Gunnar, but this isn't the fight to introduce Gunnar to us.
No, I'm not saying Gunnar. I'm talking about some of the other up-and-coming talent here that, you know.
This is the fight to blow them up in Sweden, in their hometown. These cards aren't for us. I think it's cool that they're available for us to watch, that we have a revenue. But these fights are more for Sweden, you know, for that environment. Like, it sucks that we have to bite the bullet, but you got to figure most fights worldwide, they bite the bullet all the time. That's why you get a lot of European fans like, hey, suck it up, motherfuckers. You got to stay up one time. We always got to stay.
Yeah, I know some of the guys I've done shows with are from the UK, and they're always telling me about how they're lucky if they can even make it to the main event, or the main card, actually. So,
yeah, because their hours are usually fucked up. All of our shows being in Vegas or whatnot, their hours are really weird, you know, so whatever.
Yeah, they're 5 hours ahead of us on the East Coast, and it's even worse if it's, you know, a fight that's happening on, you know, the West Coast.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, I barely made it to the prelims of Hunt Nelson, and I passed out about like a quarter way through them. So, I mean, just like Fred said, suck it up, motherfuckers. This is what it is, you know.
Right.
It is, you know, as far as the talent goes, you got to build it up somehow. You can't just, you know, go out and say, oh, well, this guy's really good. How do I know? Take my word for it? No. You got to build them up. You got to get their names out there. You got to get a fan base. A fan base is so fucking important. It's ridiculous. I'll give you an example. When Brock Lesnar came in, you didn't have to build shit up on that guy. He brought in a fan base, and it blew up. He blew up, right, in the UFC. So it's a fan base is important, and especially if you get a home fan base, and then once you get through that, then you can put them on a Vegas card. The Americans get to know them, and unfortunately, unless they're like a spectacular knockout artist or the most exciting fighter ever, or a guy that gives no fucks like Vanderlei Silva, it's gonna take time. It's gonna take time, But once in a while, you get a special one like Conor McGregor, who's just that damn good, and talks as good as he does. And then you have something special that you don't have to build up slowly. But everybody else, you're gonna have to climb the ladder.
So you guys don't think that these guys fighting in their local areas? You don't think the fans already know them?
They do. But again, like as we said, Fight Pass is geared more towards the hardcore fan. You got to put them out there somehow. And again, most European countries stay up pretty damn late to watch a Vegas card or West Coast card or just a U.S. card. I guess they should get their events too. But as far as them not having fan bases, it all depends, man. I mean, who else? Did you guys know about Conor McGregor before Dana White blew him up? I didn't. Maybe you did.
I knew him because, like I said, I used to do the show with a group of guys from the UK. So they were always, hipping me up, to all the, talent over there. That's what I'm saying, I was asking that question about whether or not you guys think that the fans over on that side of the pond know their MMA fighters, because they do. That's been my experience. Shit, I'm getting rained on here. Damn it. Did you guys hear that thunder?
Yeah.
Man, I'm getting drenched here. I got to move it to the corner here. Yeah, but that's, like I'm saying here, from the guys that I did the shows with in the past, they all knew who the fighters were. It wasn't a question of, okay, well, we need to build these fighters up for the local talent. I think they really need to concentrate more on building up these fighters for the American audience, because everybody knows America is where the money is at,
Well, but here's the thing, though. If you end up putting mediocre talent on Fox, you end up looking like a dumbass. So what do you?
Well, no, you don't have to put a whole card of mediocre talent, but you can put a few guys at a time on these cards,
Yeah,
well,
that mediocre.
That's what they're doing. That's what these cards are for, to find out which of these European guys to throw on those Fox shows.
Okay, I can buy that argument. Eddie, any comments on that?
No, I completely I get that argument as well. If you want a kind of a weird card that you're gonna put on Fox, we should look at that next one, because it's not looking like a lot of people are gonna be too excited about the Halifax card.
Yeah, I noticed that Fred never really.
Right. I was gonna say let's get to that.
I noticed that Fred never really concedes to anybody else's point. But
he believes strongly.
Yes, he's a strong believer in Japan. But he always wins me over every once in a while,
Yeah.
All right, any more comments on this one? Any other fight that you want to talk about really briefly before we move on to the next one?
Not really.
Brad? Okay.
Nah, I'm good. We can go to the Halifax card.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about the next event. This one's actually happening in the U.S. UFC Fight Night 54, Macdonald versus Saffiedine. I know Fred wanted to speak about this one as well. We actually talk about the shows before we do them. We don't always plan them out really in depth, but this one here we kind of threw together at the 11th hour. So, Fred, Rory Macdonald versus Tarek Saffiedine. Comments on that one, buddy? Did I lose him?
Yeah, man. This should be an interesting fight, man. I think the general consensus is that Rory Macdonald is the overwhelming favorite, which is rather interesting. I would favor Rory slightly in this fight. I think that he's a bit more well-rounded, and I think that if he decided advantage in this fight, the thing about that is I get the feeling that Rory is going to try to outstrike Saffiedine, and I think that might end up being a problem for him. Saffiedine is a very good fucking striker, man. He's got nasty leg kicks, sharp hands. He's actually looked fantastic overall, really. I don't even really know what his exact record is. I can't think of who his last loss is, but I know he fucking Marquardt up with them leg kicks, and I know that he Hung Yu Lim, which is a guy I'm a big fan of, he fucked up with them leg kicks big time. So this is a tough fight to call, man. I think that Rory has all the potential to win this fight, depending on how he fights it. Fuck it, I'm always one to go on the limb. I'm going to go with Tariq Saffiedine. I'm going to say that Rory fights a stupid fight, tries to strike from the outside, eats a shit ton of leg kicks, and Rory's tough. He's going to be on home turf in Canada. I think Tariq Saffiedine wins a split decision.
Well, you might be right, because I thought I did hear Rory Macdonald say that he does want to make a statement here, so that he definitely gets a shot at the title next. So right now he's ranked number 3 welterweight. Saffiedine's ranked number 11, and Macdonald's also a heavy favorite according to the odds makers and fans as well. This is another one of those fights where we're looking at fans overwhelmingly going with one fighter over the other, and again, odds makers have Rory Macdonald as a heavy favorite. So, I don't know. You may be right, Fred. Eddie, what do you think?
Oh man, I agree with the Saffiedine, not the pick, but the analysis on him. A striker you don't want to fuck with. My problem with him is he's not finishing guys on the feet. The finishes that he has, he has one knockout. I don't even know what it was. It looks like it was Nate Moore at Strikeforce. Then he has I think 5 submissions. His last loss was to Tyron Woodley at Strikeforce Challengers 13 to Tyron Woodley by decision. So the durable guy who's not going to get knocked out. But he's also not going to knock you out. Rory Macdonald, on the other hand, I think he has a few TKOs on his record. He has 6 TKOs. He's only been knocked out once. 6 TKOs, 6 submissions, 5 decisions. Very, very well-rounded fighter, and he's only 25. I mean, your 10th fight in the UFC, you're only 25. You're only getting better, right? So I think he's improved. I think he knows he can't be striking with Saffiedine if he wants to win. I think he's gonna try and get this fight on the ground and just GSP the shit out of him, just lay on him and find a way to outpoint him, maybe get a submission. But I got Rory Macdonald. I want to say 3rd round submission.
Oh. Yeah, I think a lot of fans agree with you there, because looking at what the fans are predicting for this one here, most of them do think this one is going to go with decision either way. But like I said earlier, there the fans, overwhelmingly favoring Rory Macdonald. So looking at the odds and the rankings and things like that, I don't know where Saffiedine is ranked in the UFC. I'm actually looking at outside rankings, but if he's ranked at number 11 outside the UFC, he's probably ranked within the top 10 in the UFC. I'm going to go with the odds makers and the fans, and I'm going to take Rory Macdonald by decision. Wow.
Damn, man, you're getting a storm over there. Holy shit.
It's heavy, man.
I was going to say, Richard, are you all right, bro?
Yeah, man, it's heavy. It's coming down, man. I had to move into a corner. I got the laptop on my lap trying to avoid the rain coming down.
Oh, man.
All right, so any more comments on this one?
All right.
Nope.
Nah.
Okay, so it's pretty interesting the way that we're all picking here. We're all picking totally different from each other.
Oh, man. I thought it was good.
Yeah, it's always interesting when we do that. All right, and another fight that Fred wanted to speak about here was Assuncao versus Bryan Caraway. Go ahead, Fred.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't love a Bryan Caraway fight anymore, right? I mean, this dude hated dude in MMA for some reason. I don't really know. Maybe it's because he's banging Misha Tate or whatever, but like everybody wants to hate this dude, man. He does kind of seem a bit smuggy as far as it goes, but
I think
he's a hell of a grappler, man.
I think they hate him because of the comments he made about Ronda Rousey, where he was going to beat her ass or something. Didn't he make a comment like that at some point?
Yeah. Manny, for the record, Manny Gambarian is still fucking pissed about that. He is not letting that shit go. He still wants some Bryan Caraway for that fucking comment of knocking Ronda's teeth out or something like that, I think was said.
Yeah.
Yeah, Manny don't play that shit.
Right, so continue. Sorry to interrupt.
But yeah, I think a lot of the Bryan Caraway haters are going to get their wish. I think this is a bad fight for him. Rafael Assuncao is a fucking beast. The one thing that Bryan Caraway does really well is grapple. He's a good chain submission artist. Really good back control, a nasty rear naked, great control on the ground. He's a hell of a grappler. The issue with this fight is Assuncao is a better grappler than he is. And he's probably a much better striker than Caraway is. And just overall, more experience. The only losses that Assuncao has are to top flight competition. And quite frankly, just guys that I think are a lot better than Bryan Caraway, with all due respect. I think that Bryan Caraway... Right. With all due respect, Bryan Caraway's scrappy, but I think that he will eventually succumb to a second-round submission.
Okay. That's interesting. Eddie?
Oh, man. Fuck Bryan Caraway. I can't stand that dude. I'm just, I can't, fuck that guy. Now, I want to say 35% for me is because he's banging Miesha Tate, and the rest of it for the Ronda Rousey comments. But regardless, anyway, that aside, Caraway is a really good grappler. I mean, 17 submissions on your record. He's 19-6. 17 of those finishes were submissions, 1 knockout, 1 decision win. The guy's talent, lower level talent. I mean, he's lost to he's lost to like Mizugaki, who Dominic Cruz beat the crap out of. He has a win over Johnny Bedford, who I don't know what happened to that guy last time we saw him. Eric Perez by fish hook and then rear naked choke. That son of a bitch. And you can seriously tell I hate Bryan Caraway. But regardless, he is way over his head on this one. Assuncao is just way too talented in every aspect possible. And he has quality wins. TJ Dillashaw, Pedro Munoz, Mike Easton. The losses he has are Eric Koch, better than Bryan Caraway. Diego Nunez, better than Bryan Caraway. Uriah Faber, way better than Bryan Caraway. Jeff Curran would beat the shit out of Bryan Caraway on the Sunday. It doesn't matter. So I got Assuncao first round submission with hopefully a fish hook that he gets away with.
So is there any particular reason why this fight might have been made? Was there an injury or something where these two guys were matched up?
I think Ronda Rousey talked to Dana White, and Dana White got tired of Caraway's shit. So he's like, let's put him against the killer and just get his ass beat.
Caraway's on a roll, man. Caraway's on a roll. I mean, I think it's a bit of an odd fight, but Caraway's he deserves it. He deserves it. He should most certainly get that ass whooped, which everybody would be pleased with. He deserves the opportunity, at least at this fight.
Yeah, he's rolling the dice with this one because, I mean, yeah, Assuncao was ranked pretty high, and if Bryan somehow pulls the win out of his ass, he gets launched up into the conversation of a top 10, ranking, and then actually he might be top 10. What's he ranked? Oh, 10. He's 10. Okay, so you're talking about getting another top fight, and then possibly a title shot, maybe. But I don't think Assuncao's gonna allow that. I think Assuncao's gonna be like, you fucked up. You should have taken this fight. Yes, and then Assuncao's gonna get his title shot, and I'd love to see that fight.
So Caraway is ranked 10 in the UFC rankings?
That's what it looks like if you go to UFC.com. I haven't actually looked at I'm looking at the that little spot where they have the card with just the fighters' pictures and shit, but I haven't looked at the actual rankings, but they have him as number 10.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so funny how the rankings outside the UFC differ, so dramatically, but...
Yeah, I've always hated the rankings. They don't make any sense whatsoever, so... I mean, I guess, I don't know. And here's the weird thing about the rankings, too. For example, today, maybe like an hour ago or less, the UFC re-signed Josh Berkman, and they put him up against Hector Lombard. Now, Hector Lombard's pissed, Hector Lombard's pissed because he didn't get a top 5 opponent, because he's like, oh, I'm ranked so-and-so. Every fighter's like, I'm ranked so-and-so, I don't want to fight a guy that's lower ranking than me because it doesn't help me. The rankings are bullshit.
Yeah, Berkman was on fire over there at WSOF there. I mean, he shocked everybody over there, and he just went on a tear. And DFW said over and again he's got his eye on him, and you know, if he kept on performing the way that he was over there at WSOF, that he would be signing him. So apparently that did happen.
Yeah, I mean, he just re-signed the deal with WSOF like a month ago for 3 fights, and then now he's here. I mean, imagine how that conversation went. Like, hey, you know, Josh, you want back in the UFC? Yeah, I do, of course. Okay, sign right here, but you got to fight Hector Lombard. Shit. All right. Damn.
Yeah, do you guys find it kind of odd the way that the
Yeah.
WSOF is working with the UFC and all of these fighters?
It's really, really weird because the WSOF likes to play around like they're, you know, they're maybe not competing against the UFC, but that they could compete with the UFC. And at the same time, they're kind of, you know, they're almost a farm system for the UFC in some forms.
Yeah,
But,
I said that before too. It's almost like they've become the WEC.
Mm-hmm. Or the RFA. RFA does the same thing for the UFC. In fact, the RFA has said it themselves. Who is it? Ed Soares is the head of that, I think. He said it himself. We're basically a farm system for the UFC. We want to groom fighters to go up to that high level.
I always say that's the way I think it should be. Honestly, you know, I'm not really what you would call a Zuffa zombie, but you know, I guess I kind of am, man. I want to see all the best under the same roof. I want to see once you get to a certain point that you take that next step. I don't want to see guys like Michael Page and you know, Ben Askren and all these dudes that are super talented floating around in obscurity no more. That's like fucking Peyton Manning not playing Canadian Football League shit. Like, that can't happen. You need those dudes in the NFL. They gotta be in the UFC, man. Like, and
that's why I really liked the WEC when they were around, because, you know, with the WEC, it was the up-and-coming guys. You know, you had a lot of the smaller guys that weren't fighting in the UFC because they didn't have the smaller divisions back when they were around. And then, you know, also the guys that, you know, struggled in the UFC, no matter what weight class they were in, you know, they were given, you know, a second chance basically by, you know, being sent to the WEC. And if they did well in the WEC, then they were hired and signed back to the UFC. So I kind of like that whole dynamic of a, you know, a minor leagues division, you know, for the UFC. I really like that because, you know, to see the guys go elsewhere and fight in other divisions, I mean, I don't know if that was part of the UFC's plan all along, but we saw, you know, the UFC when they got rid of the WEC, that a lot of the guys went elsewhere. Those other smaller B and C tier divisions, organizations, actually, they were signing these guys for more money than they could actually afford, and it was driving them bankrupt. So, I mean, I kind of like that whole, you know, idea of, you know, a farm league, you know, a minor league division, you know.
Yeah, I mean, think about who the WC brought us. They brought us Cruz, Faber, Varner, Pettis. I think Pettis. Yeah, Pettis, Henderson. You know, Benson, Henderson. So that, you know, that type of farm system worked perfectly. Almost all those guys are stars now.
Yeah, I used to love them when they were on the Versus Network. To me, they were the second best MMA organization out there, you know.
If you brought the WC back today, they beat Bellator for number 2 easily.
Yeah, yeah.
Unfortunately, I like Bellator, but still.
But the difference is the WEC actually had top flight talent. It was just in all the smaller weight divisions. You know, they had all that talent. I mean, hell, the UFC didn't even have weight divisions under 55 before they folded in the WEC. It's kind of like Invicta, you know, they got that whole division from Invicta. They're starting with that whole shit. Bellator is just a different story because they're trying to compete on all the different, you know, they're not really finding a niche and running with it. They're actually trying to be competitive.
Yeah, so real quick, your picks again, guys?
Shit, for the which fight? The Caraway fight?
Yeah.
Oh, Assuncao first round rear naked choke, I don't matter. Submission.
Second round, Assuncao submission.
Okay. All right, yeah, I'm looking at one of the sites here that gives rankings and things like that for the guys. As I said, outside the UFC, Caraway's ranked number 14 middleweight. Assuncao is ranked number 5. Oddsmakers have him as a moderate favorite and Caraway as a slight underdog. Fans disagree with that. It's another one of those situations where the fans overwhelmingly are picking Assuncao. I'm also going with Assuncao. I'm going to say decision, though. I don't know. I think Caraway, like Fred says, because he's been pretty hot, maybe he'll be able to keep it going for 3 rounds here. So I'm going with Assuncao by decision. Any other comments, fellas?
Oh man, I hope Bryan Caraway gets his ass kicked. That's it. That's all I got.
Okay, there was one other fight that Fred wanted to speak about. What was that other fight, Fred?
Darren, the Detroit superstar, best fucking nickname ever. Cruickshank and Anthony Njokuani. I think this is the headlining fight for the prelims, which I think the whole card is on Fox Sports 1, which is one of those weird deals, but this will be the headlining fight for the prelims. This should be a super fun fight, man. I think that Cruickshank is one of the funner strikers at lightweight. He's got a fun, funky taekwondo type of kicking style. It's actually really effective for MMA too. He gets a lot of knockouts and fancy finishes with his kicks and shit. They're very effective, not just all flash. And Njokuani has actually looked pretty good lately too, man. He's a bit more of a, I guess, a methodical, straight-up Muay Thai kickboxer, so to speak. And normally in these circumstances, well, I guess it used to be the rule the karate guy would kind of get the short end of the stick, and you would say that the traditional kickboxer would have the advantage. But it seems like things are changing, man. Guys are advancing these karate styles into MMA and making it work, using that kind of maneuverability and that footwork and the kicks and shit, and incorporating it into MMA well. And I think that Darren Cruickshank is one of those guys that does that very effectively. And I'm going to go on a limb and say, fuck it, I think that Cruickshank lands some fancy shit and gets a second round TKO finish.
Okay, Eddie?
Oh man, I like Darren Cruickshank. He does have that very exciting style. I mean, he wins with head kicks, wheel kicks. He has and decisions really, but I mean he's always had to put on a show and win impressively. But I think, I don't know, I'm looking at this fight now. His last Cruickshank just lost in July to Jorge Masvidal by decision. So I don't know. It's a weird one. The problem with Anthony Njokuani is that he almost always loses decisions. So he needs to finish his fight quick. He does have KO power, I'll say that much. He has knockout power. So Cruickshank's going to be very wary of that. But Njokuani hasn't fought anybody, really. Like, he lost to Rafael Dos Anjos, he lost to Nick Castillo, he lost to Edson Barbosa, but he beat Andre Winner, John McDessie, Roger Bowling. In the end, I think Cruickshank's going to prove to be too high caliber of a fighter for Njokuani. And Njokuani's 34 years old, man. I mean, who knows how much longer he's going to hang on. But I got Darren Cruickshank, third round TKO.
Okay. Yeah, Darren Cruickshank was looking good for a little while there. I remember on a couple of shows that we had some other guys on, they were kind of beating on Cruickshank, and then after he performed decently in a couple of fights, they kind of changed their mind about the guy. So he ran into a little bit of a problem there. Didn't he have 1 or 2 losses recently?
Let me see. Wait, who are we talking about right now?
Cruickshank.
To Masvidal.
Just Masvidal. Before that, he hadn't lost since November 2013 to Adriano Martins, but yeah, he lost at that Lawler Brown card in July.
Yeah, so I don't know. Odds makers, I guess, are looking at things here, and they've got this one basically as a flip of a coin. Cruickshank is slightly favored. Coming into this, he's 15 wins, 5 losses, and Njokuani is 16 wins and 8 losses. Cruickshank's ranked number 36 outside the UFC, and Njokuani is ranked number 50. So, like I said, their odds makers slightly favor Cruickshank, but fans disagree. I guess fans are remembering some of the impressive performances that Cruickshank did put on, and they're overwhelmingly picking him to win.
Well, the thing is, too, is a lot of fans will go with names they recognize. Almost no one's going to recognize, Anthony Njokuani. Everyone's going to recognize the Detroit superstar. So, That's my thing about the fans picking and everything. But I don't know. I'm right there with him anyway. So.
Yeah, and I'm with you and the fans, and I'm also going to go with Cruickshank by TKO in 2.
Yep.
Any other comments?
Nope.
Fred?
Nah, it should be a fun, striking battle, man. At the very least, I think that these two are going to stand up and strike with each other, so that's always fun.
Okay, and this one is actually happening on Saturday as well. It's going to be on Fox Sports 1 for the main card, and the undercard is going to be on Fox Sports 2, but I thought I heard on Fox Sports 2 that things may all get shifted over to Fox Sports 1. So, Fred, you might be right on that.
Yeah, I think it says, let me see. Yeah. All right, so the early prelims are Fight Pass only. The prelims are Fox Sports 2 and Fight Pass, which I'm glad for because I'm not paying for Fox Sports 2. Fuck that shit. And then the main card's Fox Sports 1. So it's a bit of a mix and match here. But if they move to Fox Sports 1, it'll help out a lot of people because not everyone wants to pay for that Fox Sports 2 stuff.
Yeah, and the bummer about the Fox Sports 2, we mentioned this over and again, you got to buy the upper level sports tier to get the Fox Sports 2 channel, and then the bummer about that is it's not in high def,
Right.
All right.
The cool thing, though, about these two cards, real quick, is the Fight Night Stockholm is at noon Pacific, 3 o'clock Eastern, and then, that card's going to last like 4 hours, maybe 3 hours, and then at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern is the Halifax card, so you get like a little break in between. I like when they set it up that way, because I don't have to get up at 3 in the morning to watch this shit.
Yeah. It'll be basically a full day of UFC fighting. Yeah, and I don't know, do they, I don't see them doing the post-fight shows on the Fox Sports Network for the Fight Pass cards. Do you guys ever catch any of those, or?
No, usually they'll do it during the breaks during the other cards. So like they'll be talking about the Stockholm card during the breaks of the Halifax card, and then they'll figure it out with UFC Tonight or whatever. But no, they usually don't do it in a post-fight show. Although I will say that if you watch those European cards, most of the time it's gonna be, I forgot the other guy's name, but I know Dan Hardy's on there, and I love listening to Dan Hardy break shit down. He's really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The commentary team is really good. I don't know the other guy's name either. The dude that works with Dan Hardy is really good.
Yeah.
They're fun. They're really good. They're good shit. Quickly before we go, actually, I'd like to get your guys' opinion on something. I'm kind of curious what you guys think about the whole Kung Lee.
Oh yeah,
that's interesting, man. Because we were actually talking about that and laughing about that on one of the shows where he was claiming that it just happened to be the lighting, and he just came off.
You cocksucker! The lighting. That's a good one. Lighting my ass. Human growth hormones, more like it.
Well, he's saying that. I don't know. Did you see how he refuted that whole issue?
Oh, that was the best thing ever. His video coming out against it was the most atrocious thing. I mean, he needs a better fucking PR guy. Somebody should have told him, just shut the fuck up. Do not post this, because that just so did not help his case at all.
And this was after the drug test?
Yeah, I'm assuming that video was after the news came out that he tested positive, because he was adamantly denying it.
Yeah, because I read an article earlier today where he was saying that it has to do with the way that the UFC does their testing. The testing is flawed. He swears he wasn't taking human growth hormone, and I don't know what he's going to do to combat it, but apparently he's looking to fight, the outcome of that, the drug test there. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he was questioning all these the testing procedures and shit like that, and then I heard a pretty funny explanation. I don't know if it's Lee that said it. I heard it from somebody else, but they were saying that if you eat a lot of soy, your HGH levels in your body can skyrocket. I'm gonna like raise it a little bit, make it look suspicious. Shit, I went out to buy some soy right away, motherfucker. I want to go eat a bunch of that shit and go lift right away. I want to look like Kung Lee. Or find me some of them light bulbs, man.
Well, I do know this because I'm married to an Asian woman. I do know this. Asian people do eat a lot of soy products, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how
but
well.
it don't make it look like Kung Lee.
Right, if it did, you know how much soy would be sold? That shit would be popular as fuck. Like, you know, and I mean, come on. Like, as soon as I saw the picture, I was like,
Listen.
someone send this to Bisping.
But it certainly didn't help because you got the
Listen,
shit
at the
beat
end
out
of
of
the
him.
day, that dude was definitely juicing. The picture told the tale, and then he got popped for it outright. I guess my question to you guys is, how much do you think this tarnishes his legacy for you personally? Do you think it's a major deal? Do you question some of his bigger wins now in the past, or do you not really put much stock into it? Like, what does this do for his legacy for you guys going forward now?
I think, you know, because looking at him, he was never really all that active as a fighter anyway, and he was never really all that, you know, built, you know. So I don't really think that he was doing, you know, the steroids or human growth hormone in the past. I think he realized that at this point in his career, if he wanted to, you know, remain fighting, he probably had to resort to that. I mean, again, you know, these are only speculations on our part here. We can't say for sure whether or not that is the case. And sure, the test came back and said that he was popped for that. But you know, let's see what he does from here. I don't think it really tarnishes his, you know, his career and his record. I mean, you know, a lot of the older guys, they wind up doing shit like that, and even, you know, a lot of the younger guys are doing it too. So
Yeah, I mean, in the end, I mean, he got suspended for a year. He's 42 years old. I think he's done. Like, I really don't think he comes back anyway. But look at his fights. He's had 4 fights in the UFC. He lost the first one against Vanderlei, TK on the second. He took Cody by decision. He knocked out Rich Franklin. I remember watching that fight. That was weird. And then, you know, got just massacred by Michael Bisping. So it tarnishes anything? Not really. We're kind of just sitting there going like, all right, dude, come on. Like, that's the one thing I gave Chael Sonnen a lot of credit for. When he got busted, he was like, yeah, I did it. Okay. He wasn't
yeah,
like
but Chael Sonnen's situation, I don't think he was doing it to actually cheat the system. I mean, he was having a problem, you know, conceiving a child with his wife, which is why he said he was taking, you know, certain banned substances. I mean, I'm not really up to date on every single banned human growth hormone or steroid or everything like that, but, you know, some of the things that he did test positive for were in fact to help, you know, people, you know, were having problems conceive a child. And shortly after that, his wife did, in fact, get pregnant. So I'm not quite so sure he did it to cheat, you know, but yeah, he did man up and say, yeah, I did it, you know, I can't fight it, that was my bad.
Yeah, but I mean, even, like, I mean, the reason why I did it completely, you know, if it's for health issues, man, do it. If you're trying to have a kid and that helps you out, go for it. But, you know, bottom line, that's just not allowed, you know, while you're an active fighter. So, but I mean, look, all I'm saying is take the example of Chael Sonnen. Is he's like, okay, my bad, I did it. You know, he took his punishment and he walked off. But, you know, Kung Lee coming out looking really, really stupid, trying to find a way to explain it all away with lighting and all this other shit doesn't make any sense. So,
yeah.
He's done,
the sweat from the workout. I just got done working out and the lighting was just right, and you know, the sweat was glistening on my body.
Yeah.
That's such bullshit.
He is a Hollywood star, man, in his country. So.
Yeah. All right. So, any more comments on that?
No, actually, but since we're kind of on that with the Chael Sonnen thing, just to switch gears real quickly again before we go, I got another quick thing. The whole Vanderlei getting a ban for life thing.
Yeah, I wanted to comment on that too, because we wanted to do a show on that in its own, but we never got around to it. So I guess now is as good a time as any to talk about that. So go ahead.
Yeah, well, I just think it's interesting. First off, there's a couple parts to it. I think Vanderlei's full of shit, and his little video's full of shit. And I know that a lot of fans got on his tit and were like, oh, the big bad UFC makes their fighters fight her, and they underpay everybody, and boo-hoo-hoo. But that I have a quorum with. I think that Vanderlei made fine money in the UFC. I think they probably treated him fine, and I don't think he's got a lot of room to bitch there, personally.
Yeah, UFC actually came out. Dana White came out just the other day, and he said, I don't know what Vanderlei Silva was talking about. He made over $10 million for this.
Right. Now, the issue that I do have with the Vanderlei situation is the Nevada Athletic fucking Commission. They I don't know if it was the same day or within a weekend or what have you, but they licensed Vitor Belfort to fight after fucking pissing hot numerous times. Chael Sonnen gets a 2-year ban, which, as much as we all love Chael, pissed hot for like 13 different things. And Vanderlei, just for running from the fucking test, which was admittedly some bullshit, gets a lifetime fucking ban.
It's kind of funny, the timing on that. I agree with you there because, I mean, I don't recall if it happened exactly the same day as far as him getting a lifetime ban. And I wrote an article on this, and you were the only one who actually responded to it. But I wrote an article on this, and to me, I think it's just a smokescreen. I don't agree with the lifetime ban. I don't think that was right. I mean, as you were saying there, and I mentioned that in the article too, Chael got, a 2-year suspension. But again, this is an unprecedented situation. Can you guys recall a situation where a fighter literally fucking ran from, the testing collector?
No, maybe there's like stories we haven't heard of like fighters finding a way to avoid meeting them, it's like, oh, I'm at your gym. Oh, I'm, fucking on the lake or something. I don't know.
Can you guys actually recall an instance? That's wrong. Because it's an unprecedented situation. So maybe they're just trying to make a hardcore example of him and saying, don't fuck with us. If we come to test, you don't run away from us.
No, and here's the issue. And believe me, I am not one of these fucking guys. I am not at all in the least bit. But I do think that it just kind of comes down to money. Let me ask you a fucking question. You think if John Jones dipped out the back, they'd have fucking put a lifetime ban on John Jones right now?
No,
you bet your fucking head. Fuck no, they wouldn't. And that ain't no coincidence. It's not because they like John.
They got in that fight on stage in front of public, and all they did was give him a $50,000 fine, and he's pissing and fucking moaning about that when he should have got some sort of suspension.
Yeah.
And believe me, it's not because Vanderlei's fucking Brazilian. It's because he's not really a cash cow no more, man. He's still got his fans and whatnot, but Wanderlei's not going to be fucking selling out any venues.
And how did you like that melodramatic music in that fucking video that he put out? That almost made me piss my pants.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. It comes down to money, man. Vanderlei is going to get the book thrown at him because he's not really a moneymaker. Vitor Belfort just happens to have a massive fight with Chris Weidman lined up. Kind of ironic that he gets his fucking papers, right? Just because he's got this massive fight that Nevada's going to make a shit ton of money on. So he gets licensed, but, Vanderlei, who's kind of in the shadows a bit, so to speak, gets the fucking shaft.
Yeah, and not only to mention insult to injury and injury on top of that, he was also banned from the UFC Hall of Fame.
Well, for what that's worth.
That ain't worth shit, man. They need to make an MMA Hall of Fame, something completely separate. But here's the thing about Vanderlei. Running from a test is really bad because you're basically you're almost admitting fault, or that you're basically saying, "Oh, I'm on some shit. I just don't want to test high right now."
And he came out and admitted that he was.
Yeah, and then he came out and said, "Oh, I'm on diuretics because my wrist hurts." Some bullshit. I don't even know how that works.
Yeah, what was that? How did diuretics help your fucking wrist that's hurt?
He said something about water retention. It was all bullshit, man. Like I'm nowhere near a doctor, but all I heard was bullshit. So, here's the thing about Vanderlei. That video, first of all, I laughed so hard when I saw it with the music. The music was what made it, right? The music made that damn video because it was just like you're sitting there watching it, and he's trying to say some shit, and then you hear this music, and for a split second, you find yourself caught up in the bullshit. Like you're just like, holy shit, I agree with Vanderlei. This is, and then once you catch yourself, you're like, wait a fucking minute, shut the fuck, you know what I mean? Like you start, he's basically on this rampage saying, oh, the UFC treats us bad. I'm tired of being disrespected. Like, come the fuck on, dude. You made millions of dollars. You ran away from a piss test. But not to mention, the unspoken fact or quote unquote fact that Vanderlei was, juicing like a motherfucker in Pride. They didn't test those guys for shit. And what he had like a 20-fight, win streak or some bullshit like that. And then he comes to the UFC, starts losing. I wonder what happened. So, it's unfortunate. I like watching Vanderlei fight because he's a rock'em sock'em robot. But, at the end of the day, what's that?
Go ahead.
Oh, because at the end of the day, a lot of that ban falls on the Nevada State Athletic Commission. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I've watched basically every meeting that they put on Fight Pass, and they all seem like a bunch of dipshits to me that have never stepped on a mat in their lives. You know, like the one guy they have on there that's legit, in my opinion, and he's an asshole, but he's like a former baseball player that's still pissed off that he didn't make it to the majors because everyone else was juicing and he wasn't. He was the first that came out and said, oh, I want a lifetime ban against Vanderlei. You know, and he's the one that came out saying he wanted a lifetime ban for Chael Sonnen, too. So, you know, at the end of the day, all these commission guys need to make themselves look good. It's nothing to do with, you know, saving the sport or cleaning it up or putting on a precedent. Everything to do with tax dollars and how much money Vegas is going to make on a fight. Just like Fred said, Jones ain't getting suspended, Cormier ain't getting suspended because that's a big money fight.
Well, I don't think Fred thought that Jones should have gotten suspended because we had that conversation on another show.
I think I was talking about Vitor then. I think you talked about Vitor, not Vitor getting his papers instead because he's in a big fight with Weidman, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, no, but I don't think they should have suspended Jones either. I mean, listen, I'm not saying it's right. I want to see the fucking fight too. Fuck that, you know. It's fucked up, but I want to see the fight itself as fans.
We can't complain. We can't complain when there's no sort of continuity to the way that they, you know, enforce the rules. You know, they're favoring one guy over another. I mean, it's just ridiculous the way that they try to enforce the rules selectively.
Did you watch that last one though? They ban guys like it's easy. They ban a couple boxers for like a year for small bullshit things, and they banned Kevin Casey for like 9 months or something like that. For I mean, yeah, he took steroids and he admitted it, but they gave him. They're like, oh, okay, who's this guy? Oh, Kevin Casey, fuck him. 9 months. Here you go. Go fuck him.
It's a circus. It's a circus, and Floyd Mayweather could basically fucking
Jesus, don't
three broads in a hotel room, and he can do it every once in Vegas, and they're gonna, you know, so yeah, it's obviously all about the money. I felt like Vanderlei definitely kind of came off as a bit of a crybaby at the end with this shit with the UFC, but he definitely seems like he kind of got the fucking shaft as far as the athletic state commission shit goes too. So.
Yeah, I don't agree with the lifetime ban, but again, I was saying before I interrupted Eddie and then I put it back to him, I actually wrote Vanderlei Silva off, you know, a couple of years ago, and I was actually surprised that he made somewhat of a comeback and started doing well again. So, you know, why was that? Was it the fact that Eddie was saying that over in Pride he was juicing, and you know, I mean, definitely has the physique of a guy that, you know, loves horse meat, you know.
Yeah, right. But I don't know. It's unfortunate. He's still a legend in the sport, regardless of you know, of anything else. But I mean, it's gonna be real interesting to see if he actually does anything. He's got this whole war wand. He has this I don't know. He has a video where everyone, you know, takes pictures of themselves, a selfie with a fucking sign that says #wand or with wand something. Anyway. But he's doing all these videos now, calling out the UFC about respect and getting the fighters paid. I really want to know what's in it for him. I really want to know what he's got to gain out of it.
Well, it's a theme with ex-UFC fighters. I mean, they all come out after they've made their millions. They all come out and talk about how the UFC doesn't take care of the fighters, make them fight hurt. They disrespect them, and the disrespecting, we have seen that. So you know, we can't say that doesn't happen. But that all depends on who you are. And you know, again, they all talk about how they don't make any money working for the UFC when, you know, in most cases, that's probably only true with the guys who were fighting early on in the UFC when the guys were fighting for pennies, you know.
I don't know, man. I got no love for that argument, to be honest with you. It's kind of like the dude at McDonald's that's bitching at me because he's giving me my fries. I didn't ask you to do this. If you want to be a fucking lower-level MMA fighter, or when you're just getting your start, you get paid what you get paid. Exactly. Dudes should be thankful to have their start in the UFC. If you want to do this and you think you're the best in the world, prove it. And if you happen to not be the best in the world and you get your ass knocked out a few times, sorry for you. Like, go be a firefighter. What do you want from me? Like, not everybody gets to be a millionaire, man. I don't think that that's a valid argument at all.
Oh, no, I agree with you. I wasn't supporting the argument. I was just saying that, you know, that would be the only guys who would actually have something to bitch about. But, you know, again, like you're saying there, I mean, if that's what you were getting paid at the time, a couple of $1,000 or whatever, then that's what it was, you know.
You're right. I mean, you know, you want to get paid more money, do a different profession. Nobody's making you be an MMA fighter, man. Don't choose to do it and then complain that you ain't getting paid enough money because your star's not taking off quick enough. Look at all the people that hate on Conor McGregor, like actual named fighters that are going to hate on this guy because he's making more money. Look, man, nobody told you couldn't promote yourself. Run your mouth, drum up some interest, make me care about your fight, sell some fucking tickets, but don't sit around and complain.
Yeah, we mentioned that on the show earlier. I don't know if it was the last show or another show that we did, but DFW came out and said, I don't know if it was DFW or Fertitta, Lorenzo Fertitta. It was on one of the shows that we're just on. And, you know, Dana White said clearly the kid sells tickets, and then Fertitta came on one of the Fox Sports network shows, and he said, man, this kid, when we have a fight over in the UK, we get a 60% share of whatever is on television at the time. So he says when you get a 60% share and you're selling pay-per-view tickets, you deserve to make more.
Yeah, period. That's not always the fairest thing for everybody, but that's just the way it goes, man. You gotta drum up the interest. And like people like Vanderlei made plenty of money, and for him to be crying about other guys that might not be making enough for this or that, it's whatever, man. I don't know. I don't want to hear it. It's a bore. People make the crazy argument. They go, well, look at how much money the UFC's making. Yeah. It's the fucking company, Jack. Like, it takes money to hold events in fucking Dutch Turkey. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, not only that, they're also paying for all the, the testing for all the fighters, and they're also, Lorenzo Fertitta came out and said that they're going to be testing all 500 fighters on their roster on a random basis. So, I remember one time looking at the numbers. I don't know if you guys are familiar with what it cost to do these tests, but it was tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, I mean, and they're also paying Bruce Buffer and Joe Rogan and Ariane Celeste and every other fucking person it takes to make the show happen. It's the whole. You can't compare one or two fighters to the whole organization and the money it takes to keep it running. I realize the fighters are the stars and they are the show, but quite frankly, they're not the only show. John Jones can't go fight in a fucking tent in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and expect to sell any tickets, man. Like, it is what it is.
They don't pay Ariana Celeste enough, in my opinion.
I'm sure you just know.
Say it again, I missed that.
What happened? Oh, I think Ariana Celeste should get paid more. I'm just saying. But here's the thing too. It's you know what you're signing up for. They don't go, okay, sign this paper first. Oh, by the way, this is what you're gonna get paid. Here's what you're gonna get paid. Here's the terms of the contract. Sign this if you want to be in. And guys want to be in. Girls want to be in.
If you don't like it, don't sign. But don't fucking sign and then bitch afterwards.
Exactly. NFL rookies can hold out of their contracts if they don't like it. Why don't you can hold out if you decide not to sign. Go elsewhere where they might or might not pay you more, and build your way up and see what you can do. But this whole the money argument, to me, it doesn't make any sense. So I mean, it makes sense what they're saying, but I don't agree with it.
Yeah, what kills me too is that every time they bring up this argument, they start talking about a union. I mean, a union's probably going to get the fighters a little more money, but it's just going to kill the fucking fans because the organizations aren't going to absorb those costs. Business do not absorb costs. They pass them on, Yep.
I don't want to be paying more to watch this fight in Phoenix in December just because a bunch of the lower fighters don't agree with getting paid what they get paid. You sign the contract, you fight for what you signed up for. If, just like Fred said, you make your way up, you make that big bank, good for you. Really happy for you. But that's it.
Any of the big name fighters that have been around the UFC for any length of time have made tens of millions of dollars. Mm-hmm. Granted, that's not boxing money, and I don't understand how the boxing money still, generates that much. But, I used to be a huge boxing fan because I was never really any sort of a sports fan. I was always into combat sports and boxing, but I still don't understand how there are still that many people that are fans of boxing when you've got MMA, because I find myself trying to watch a boxing match now, and I'm like, Jesus, this is so fucking boring.
Yeah, I mean, it's just and the thing about boxing, I was a big boxing fan until recently. Basically, when Floyd Mayweather just kept ducking Pacquiao, accusing him of taking steroids and shit. Like that's when I stopped being a boxing fan. I was like, well, whatever happened to guys stepping up and taking on, other fighters. I mean, Mike Tyson never said no to anybody, and it got him knocked out, by the way.
Yep.
He said he took a fight that he wasn't supposed to take, and he took it because he didn't want to be bored. And look at that, he got knocked the fuck out. So
yeah, Buster Douglas, man.
Buster Douglas, man. Hey, dude, I remember. I mean, obviously, I was a kid when that happened, but I know watching the replays as I got older, I was like, holy shit, this guy was not supposed to win.
Yeah.
And Buster Douglas's mom died not too long before, or maybe even the day before. I don't remember. He fought Tyson, and he said, I'm gonna knock him out for mom, and then that's what he went out and did. So I
remember watching that fight with my younger brother, and that was at the time when Mike Tyson started going rogue and he became a real ass. And me and my brother were rooting against him. And I remember when Buster Douglas knocked his ass out and Mike Tyson puts his mouthpiece in his mouth sideways.
Yeah.
Me and my brother jumped up and screamed and yelled, and the whole neighborhood must have heard us, man.
Oh man, that was a crazy fight because Mike Tyson was gonna get up and fuck you up. He was trying to put the damn mouthpiece in and he couldn't do it. He just couldn't do it.
He put it in the wrong way. It was sticking out of his mouth.
That's when the ref knew. The ref's like, nah, you're stupid. You're done. You're done.
Yeah.
Crazy story about that Buster Douglas Mike Tyson fight. My dad and a few of his buddies were getting drunk and watching the fight. One of my dad's friends gets drunk and calls Vegas and puts in like a fucking $5,000 bet on Buster Douglas. No shit. No shit. He gets drunk, passes out, wakes up the next day, finds out that he makes the bet and goes, what the fuck, you guys? Why'd you let me bet $5,000 on Buster Douglas? Come to find out, Buster Douglas wins the fight. He won like $150,000. He bought a bar.
Get out of here. That's awesome.
That's a great story, man.
I gotta drink more often. Shit.
Well, yeah, no shit, man. I mean, he thought he lost. He missed the fight. He passed out. He didn't even see the fight. He woke up and he thought, oh, fuck, of course Tyson knocked him out.
Yeah, damn.
I used to love Mike Tyson before he went rogue. After Customato died, he just, lost all his shit, man. And, when what's his name, Don King got involved in boxing, he just destroyed the whole thing for me, man.
Don King wasn't the start of boxing falling down, but he damn sure put that shit on turbo and fucking hit the gas because, he was fucking shit up, man. That was when boxing started to die, and honestly, these days I only watch boxing when there's Mexican fighters that I enjoy watching fighting. Like Canelo when he fought Mayweather, I didn't pay for the fight because fuck that, but I streamed it, but still. I'm not gonna pay for a Mayweather fight. I just can't. I'm not giving that guy a cent. I just can't do it. I can't buy myself.
That guy makes it very hard to like him. I mean, he's a very unlikable sort of character, man.
Yeah. You said it though. It ties it back. The reason that was one of Floyd's bigger fights recently was the Canelo fight. It was the Mexican angle. The Mexicans got into that fight because Canelo was a guy they could root for. That's kind of the point with these European cards. If you make a Gunnar Nelson or a Nicholas Backstrom, one of these guys, a GSP or what have you for Sweden, all of a sudden these fights become very big because Conor McGregor, Ireland, you get a whole fucking nation. You know why boxing still exists? Fucking Mexicans.
Yeah.
They're the only ones that watch boxing anymore. Even black folks are finally kind of enough with boxing already. But Mexicans are very loyal. There's a lot of good, great Mexican boxers. There's a great, rich history with it. And Mexicans still fuck with boxing overall, and they keep it afloat, man.
That's basically what it is. And so, as MMA grows in Mexico, boxing's going to have to figure out, oh, shit, what are we going to do? Because, I mean, I try to get my dad into it. He's still a boxing guy, but he's watching a couple cards here and there, usually only when Kane fights, and then which is not very often. But, like I've gotten my cousins and all these guys into MMA. I took a few jiu-jitsu class with me, and they loved it. So, I think we're going to start seeing the trend slowly shift, but you're right, boxing's only afloat because the Latin American countries are still into it.
And one more thing I want to mention here, guys, to finish the show out on MMA here. I mentioned this on previous shows. We're talking about, guys cutting weight and things like that. And, you have these guys that are coming in and fighting a division below or two divisions below where they should actually be fighting naturally. And I mentioned on one of the shows that, things have gotten so bad now that some fighters are actually taking out pints of blood.
Oh, yeah.
Shit. So we do have a documented case of this now, and I wanted to mention this on the show here. Cody McKenzie was cut from the UFC a short while ago, and he went to fight somewhere else. And apparently he was having problems making weight. so he had a pint of blood removed so he could make weight.
A pint of blood, it took a pound point something of weight off of him. But Cody McKenzie, first of all, is a real idiot. Because you remember, when the last time he fought, he forgot his shorts somewhere. So they went to J.C. Penney's or something across the street and bought him basketball shorts. And they still had the tag on him while he was fighting. The fucking tag's on national television. What the hell? So, like, you know, it doesn't surprise me because he's a goofy bastard. But, I mean,
I thought he was trying to start a new trend with the tag on the shorts like there used to be with the tag on the hats.
On the hats? I don't even know if mine has it. Mine has this one right there. I forgot all about it. But, yeah, maybe. No, Cody McKenzie's a goofy bastard. But, I heard the story, and I was like, for sure, the Oklahoma Athletic Commission is going to say, no, you're out, dude. What the hell was that? And no, nothing. Everything's cool. We're just going to go ahead and fight now. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's rather dramatic. I mean, and how the hell are you going to be able to perform after giving a pint of blood, you know?
All these girls that are trying to fit into their prom dresses are going to get fucking blood drawn out so they can fit in those shits. Like, thinking they're stupid. God damn it.
So what do you guys think, man? Do you think that's, like, crazy? Do you think that's unsafe? I mean, what do you guys think?
Yeah, all of the above. Ridiculous, crazy, unsafe. And luckily, I don't think that this will be a trend because Cody McKenzie's one of the few dumbasses that will try this. Even as far as guys go to cut weight, most people probably realize that draining fucking blood from your body is going to have a very ill effect. As bad as cutting water is, I can imagine that draining blood is a bit fucking worse. I mean,
blood, man, you're extremely weak afterwards.
Yeah. Cody McKenzie, listen, I know nobody likes fighter bashing, but I'm just going to say it, and Cody McKenzie could probably kick my ass, but he's a fucking dumbass.
Yeah,
draining blood to make weight is the worst idea in the world. Like you said, it makes you extremely fucking,
fucking weak.
Yeah, it drains your energy. And maybe even if there's the argument that it wasn't that much blood, either fucking way, dumbass. Don't be draining your blood to make weight, future fighters. It's a horrible idea. It's going to drain all your energy and possibly, if you're not in Oklahoma, not even let you fucking fight.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that because when I mentioned that on one of the shows in the past, people thought I was making that shit up. But we have a documented, documented case now of that.
Yeah, it's crazy shit, man.
Insanity.
All right, guys, we covered a whole lot of shit here, man.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think it ended up being a lot more than we thought it was going to be, especially for being thrown together at the last second.
Okay, any other comments before we go, fellas?
If you want to watch something crazy, watch this fucking 8-man tournament tonight. I'm gonna watch this shit because I haven't seen one of those since Pride, maybe. I'm not sure. Not even before that.
This is the one with Cody McKenzie, right?
Yeah. But I mean, I haven't seen one since I saw the tape of Hicks and Gracie's Vale-Tudo fights. So I want to see what goes on tonight. So I'm definitely gonna be watching it because it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, where is this one actually being aired? Is that a pay-per-view thing or what?
It is a pay-per-view, but me and my buddies got together. We're all throwing out. It's like $20. You can do it online. I think through a certain MMA website that loves to get traffic in any way they can. But they're doing it through online, and you can actually get it through your TV too. But I think the biggest spectacle of the whole thing is gonna be Chael Sonnen and Jim Ross. Good old JR, they call him.
Yeah.
Calling the fights. That's pretty much the only reason I'm watching, to be honest with you.
This is his debut as an MMA announcer.
I always thought he should be. I mean, I've never been a big wrestling fan. I mean, last time I watched wrestling like a lot was when The Rock was in it and he was in his prime. After that, it seems kind of silly. So, I mean, what was I, 8 maybe? So, but even then, I was like, thinking about announcers and shit. And not many people are better than JR.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to catch that. I got a lot of things I got to do tonight, but I'll probably see some of the videos that are on the internet afterwards.
Yo, quickly before we go, Eddie, have you watched that new episode of the Latino Ultimate Fighter, the new one that just dropped Tuesday?
Goddamn right I did. That was fun as hell.
My buddy Alvaro's over on his way right now. As soon as we get off of here, that's what we're going to do. We're going to watch
Go watch it. It was a good one. I enjoyed the fuck out of it. I really, especially the fight. Okay, I'll say this because I'm not spoiling shit for you. The fight is good. Go watch the fight.
Okay. Bet. Cool.
All right.
Sweet.
All right, fellas, that was a great show, man. We covered a lot of stuff. Even all the final thoughts stuff that we added in was interesting.
Yeah.
For sure, man.
For sure. All right, fellas.
I don't know when we're going to do another show. We didn't do our usual event pool for these events this weekend here. I was really busy this week at work, so like I said, we threw this together at the 11th hour, and we really didn't put a whole lot of thought into the show, but who knows? Maybe we'll do a post-event fight on Sunday. I mean, a post-event show on Sunday. So if we do, you guys are, of course, welcome to come on and speak about that as well.
Just post it. Let me know. My show goes on at 5:30 Eastern, so after that, I'm free.
Okay. Yeah, I like to do the Sunday shows a little earlier in the afternoon, but it's hard to get everybody synced up, man. Mm-hmm. All right, fellas, thanks again for joining me. I appreciate it, man. It was a great show, and we will talk to you fellas next time. So go ahead and say goodbye if you want to say goodbye.
Later, fellas.
Catch you guys later.
All righty, bye-bye.